Oh boy, we did it! We watched all of Comic Girls!
All of Wan Yan Yan Wan.
Wan Yan Yan Wan! I loved this show.
This show is fucking adorable.
It was a lot better than I honestly expected it to be. Because, I remember watching the first episode of this way back when we did watch seasonal bullshit with us on the Corrupting Your Kids channel, and I remember liking it. And I heard good things about it from other people who like cute girl Yuri shows.
Same, but I also heard negative things about it from people who
who don't like these kinds of shows.
They just thought it was a knockoff Hidamari sketch.
It's not as similar to Hidamari sketch nearly as it is to Stella no Maho. That is really what I would compare it to the most strongly, and it's a lot better than Stella no Maho. And that show inspired me to write a whole song about it. What the hell's my song called? For Stella the Magic. Which I would also sing about this show. It's a very similar kind of... It's for cute young girls working hard towards their passions, trying to get their careers off the ground. Hidamari sketch, I mean, you haven't seen Hidamari sketch, so you don't really know. Hidamari sketch is not like that at all. Hidamari sketch is just a daily life show about girls who happen to be in an art school.
And happen to also like girls.
And, Hidamari sketch also is not very forthright about that. Yeah. Because Hidamari sketch came out before Yuri was such a popular thing in anime, back at a time when the best you were going to get is, vague hints. And, there's two characters who are pretty clearly you're meant to ship in Hida sketch, on account of the fact that
this show the girls actually go on a date.
Yeah, and one of them is forthright that she likes the other girl. And all of them are just way into perversely interested in girls in general.
And there's no boys in the show.
No, the only girl who is ever explicitly straight is the purple-haired one. And even the fact that she explicitly wants a boyfriend is not necessarily common to shows like this. Because in Hida sketch, it was everything was vague, everything was hinted. There were no boys, but there also were not very many people. Other than the four girls and one or two other people, no one else exists in the world in that show, because that's how Shaft does their shows. This show is comparably normal. So I don't think it's really a ripoff of Hidamari sketch, even if the concept is similar. But I mean, it is a traditional 4 girls, 4 based comedy show. They all have a lot in common. And it's a genre that there was a time where it was my favorite genre. If you wanted to make a show that you're going to guarantee I will Lucky Star, Hidamari sketch, K-On!, all of these are some of my favorite shows. But as a result of that, it's not easy to impress me with this kind of show anymore, you know? And this comes from the same studio who made Wakaba Girl, which I gave a 6. You know, it's alright as it's another 4-girl show, but very basic. We dropped a few other shows like this year.
What studio is those?
This is a studio called Nexus, which has literally...
Nexus Mania, my favorite anime studio.
This is the first full-length show they've ever done, and remains the only one they've done. So, good look, Nexus. I enjoyed this show a lot. The character artwork is great, almost all the way through, I would say.
So many good outfits.
So many good facial expressions.
Good outfits,
hairstyles are on point.
All the girls have multiple hairstyles. And there was one episode where, the girls were, it's they're getting glasses.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have never seen anime glasses, look so good on, so many different styles. And, so much love just put into, the trope of glasses girls. This show is very much so informed by otaku culture.
Oh, yeah.
It's really fun, because they do a lot with that.
And I'm really happy that, they didn't just make all the girls, Fujos. It wasn't just a bunch of, BL love and stuff like that. If anything, they're all more Yuri inclined.
Yeah, the one character who did draw BL was, an older character.
Right.
Which, it's fun, because they had that in it, but it's kind of outdated, that trope, so it's cool if they made her an old girl.
Yeah, we've got our main character, Kaos-chan.
Wasn't it the teacher?
It was the teacher.
She's the best character.
Kaos-chan, the main girl, well, Kaos is my favorite. She's so fucking adorable. Like, everything she does
the Dojiko.
Is the cutest shit in the world. Her voice, performed by a relative newcomer named Hikaru Akao, as I'm looking at it right now. She was also the voice of one of the girls in Goku Dolls. And
the pigtail girl.
She's in the current show Endro, which we haven't watched yet, but like that's basically all the like main roles she's done. She's great in this show. So fucking adorable. So many cute inflections and weird like sounds, and like she does the like nerdy spur girl voice really well, like all the like, you know, the kias and that kind of stuff that you'd expect. She's really fucking cute. And then she's got like so many hairstyles, so many outfits. Like sometimes you'll see multiple hairstyles with the same outfit, and it's just like they went all out on making like every shot of her unique and cute and fun in some different way. There's lots of interesting shot compositions and like somewhat experimental like framing of shots where like you'll see, you know, borders cut into the frame in unique ways, expressive ways, I would even say, where like sometimes the continual shrinking of the frame is used to convey an emotion or to be the punchline of a joke. So I just feel like a lot of thought was put into how to use visuals to make the jokes or the pacing work.
Definitely.
You know, and in just creative ways that you don't see every day. It's not as creative as Hidamari Sketch, which goes really crazy with its visuals, but you know, it was inventive and fun. The backgrounds were interesting because sometimes they would just use like obviously just photographs. Like if the characters were just at a store, they clearly just gone to the store and taken pictures and like put a filter on it, and sometimes it looks a little weird, but I mean, I liked it. I never had a problem with the backgrounds.
It was never too jarring. It was never like, oh, geez, this is a cheap anime that I'm looking at. The water looked nice until the characters were like
the water effects were funny because like there's this one in the beach episode, like there's this CGI water effect that looks surprisingly good, but it doesn't match anything laid on top of it, and like the effects work is not always good, but like and sometimes there would be kind of bland backgrounds, but usually it was ones that were just for like used for a split second or something.
I mean, most of the show takes place inside the dorm that they're staying at, and the dorm is like really creative and innovative.
Yeah.
Like all the characters have their own decorations, and like it's all like set up according to their personality, and also just the way that the dorms are set up are really cool because they have like the circular entrance of like sliding doors.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really actually. Neat looking. The doors are circular, but there's like a lot of lip on the ground level,
and they have the characters trip on it, so it's like great.
It was an odd looking dorm with like really high ceilings and like rafters and stuff, and each girl had their their own unique aesthetic in their room, and they didn't go like overboard trying to make all of them very different, but you get a sense of what each of their taste is in like anime and manga, where Kaos is big into idols and stuff, so she's got like a lot of idol figures and but like it's not exclusively that. It's like she has posters of anime, she has other stuff. A lot of it is clearly referential of real posters that exist that I've seen before, or real idol characters. I really love how all of their art styles are so different. Because, you see a lot of each character's manga, because the four main characters are all manga artists, and, so each of them works in a different style. You've got Kaos, the main girl, who's just starting out. She's trying to draw, uber cutesy, chibi, 4-coma stuff in the vein of what Comic Girls itself probably is like.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you've got the blue-haired girl, Tsubasa, who draws shonen manga. She's, the most popular one, I think. Then you've got Ruki, and these two are both senpai. She's the purple-haired girl. She draws shoujo, raunchy, sexual,
lewd with a capital L.
Yeah, she draws hardcore. I think it's fairly hardcore. There was bondage in one of them. I think she shows fucking in her comics, even though she's underage.
Yeah, no, she had to have some parts censored out. She had to have one of the girls censor it. Her.
Yeah, she's
ashamed of it too.
She draws some lewd shit, and then you've got Koyume, who's also a younger one who's just starting out, and she's trying to draw romantic shoujo manga. And she's the only, like, one who is just, like, explicitly gay. Like, she's in love with the blue-haired girl. Blue-haired girl's indeterminate sexuality. She's just all she cares about is drawing manga.
She's definitely a lesbo.
Purple's the only one who's explicitly
no
straight. And Chaos is, like, just obsessed with cute girls, like, touching each other. She's just, like, absolutely down for that. That's what I love. This show manages to portray, like, a considerable amount of fan service and sexuality while never being, like, coy about it. It felt almost mature to me, the way it handles sexuality, in that, like, it's just so direct and unafraid to portray those kind of things, and, like, to have the characters be like, yeah, I want to see cute girls fucking touching each other's titties. Like, bring it on. That sounds great. You know, like, they can be embarrassed from time to time, but, like, I just love the fact that the characters are, like, allowed to actually feel sexually towards each other and stuff, you know, as opposed to keeping it all to vague hints as it usually is in this type of show. We've come a long way, is basically what I'm saying, and what can be done with, like, a Yuri-themed, four-girls show. Because, like, Hidamari Sketch, again, never went this direct, and that was created by a Yuri manga author. And, like, so to think that we can get this to here is nice. I just love to see, and of course, you know, I just love to see Yuri myself. So it's like I felt, not only did I get to see it, but I get to experience the kinship with the characters, and that they appreciate it as much as I do.
Yeah, it's a little bit more rewarding, IMO.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any, like, actual Yuri in the show, more than two girls going on a date with each other.
I mean, there's no, like, relationship progress, but, like, there's Yuri in the sense that the girls are, like, into cute girls. Like, even the ones who aren't, like, explicitly gay are still into watching other girls, like, be cute. And
like, the purple girl, she uses the blonde girl as a reference and, like, has her, like, pose for her and
like,
stuff.
Literally lewd poses for her and shit.
I love that they made the blonde-haired girl, like, a little chunky.
That was also great. That, like, I mean, it's not conveyed most of the time, as it usually isn't.
Yeah,
but,
they don't go out of their way to, like, make her not a cute girl.
They gave her some fluff sometimes.
Yeah.
It really depended on, like, the episode of the scene, but there's a whole episode about her gaining weight, and it's probably the most, like, hardcore on the character. Because, like, usually it's like you'll hear a girl be like, oh, I've been gaining weight lately, but there's no evident difference and nobody else says anything about it. In this episode, like, not only does she look like she's gained weight, but everyone is just shitting on her ruthlessly about it until she goes on a diet, and it's great. Another thing about the show that I really like is that it manages to be emotional without going, like, overwrought and sentimental. Because I hate, like, a lot of these shows, they go and try to make it, like, cry porn. It's like the characters get so emotional and the music swells and all that. And, like, you get a little bit of that in the last episode, but it feels earned. And it's actually, it's a really interesting scenario. Spoilers, I guess, if you think that this is a kind of show that can be spoiled. The last episode took a really bold direction by having the other three characters, other than Chaos, like, leave, like, at the start of the episode, because, like, the dorm is being shut down. They're like, yeah, this dorm is only around for so long, we're leaving. And in any other show, the whole last two episodes would have been about the revelation that the dorm was closing, everybody getting really emotional, saying all these long-winded goodbyes, crying, hugging, all this stuff. Instead, it's just kind of like suddenly revealed that that's going to happen.
Yeah, about halfway through the series, they say, like,
they hint us that it's coming.
They're like, oh, well, the dorm's going to close at the end of the year. Like, what are you going to do about that? And
as soon as they hint at it,
really realistically, like, the girls know that this is happening. They're not
right. It wasn't sprung on them. Because, like, we find out about it seemingly before the girls do. So my expectation was that, like, this landlady was keeping it...
this is going to be, like, a big plot point. Like, this is going to be how this show ends.
I was like, she's going to be keeping it secret for no reason. Then she's going to finally reveal... she's gonna be like, oh, I didn't want to distract you while you were working on your manga, and they're all gonna be devastated and they're gonna cry about it. No, it wasn't like that. They see us like the next time it's brought up, second to last episode, there's like a sign that says like, y'all need to be out of here by this date, and they're all like, well, I guess the date's finally come, and you're like, oh, they already knew, and then they just leave. Like, it just happens. It's just like cut to the girls all going, well, we're taking off, except for Kaos, who's still there for a little bit longer because her, like, I guess just because her mom wasn't there to pick her up yet, or she just had to finish her manga.
She had to finish her manga.
So yeah, like, she's still there, and the other girls just take off, and the rest of the episode is, like, sort of just her by herself so that we can see how much she's changed from the first episode, like, how far she's come as a person, and, like, it gets emotional and stuff, but it just feels very earned and natural because she is by herself, and it's not, like, melodramatic. It feels realistic for her to feel the way she does at this time and to go through these things. So, man, I'm really impressed that I never rolled my eyes in this show. And, like, I'm so used to rolling my eyes in shows like this. But no, it was consistently funny, consistently cute. How'd you feel about each of the girls? How would you rank them?
I was disappointed that the blue hair girl was so one note. The same with the purple haired girl. I liked the two younger girls more.
Yeah.
I really liked the older cast of characters probably the most.
Their episode that fleshes them out was possibly the best episode of the whole show.
It was really
because, like, you've got their teacher who is, for the early episodes, she just seems like a somewhat strict but very perfect, beautiful teacher, but her secret is that she's an otaku. And she happens to be a huge fan of blue-haired girl who is one of her students. Now, again, any other show would have played that misunderstanding up for laughs the entire way through. It would have constantly been the discordance between...
Yeah, and it would have went on the whole series.
Right, the fact that she didn't know, and it would have been done again and again.
There would have been no resolution. They would have never had a conversation about it.
Right. Instead, it's like by the end, like they run that jokes course, and then
by
they
the end of the episode,
reveal.
Yeah, she knows that.
And then we get to have a whole new set of jokes about the fact that this teacher is trying to be a good teacher to her student while also being a huge fangirl of the manga that she creates, which is way funnier and has more dimensions to it. And you can go, yeah, I'm really happy with the way things develop overall over the course of the show. It was always, like, surprising. Even the biggest surprise was the senpai character, who doesn't really play that big of a role, but the horror manga author.
Oh boy.
So
I forgot about that.
It's revealed kind of suddenly, like halfway through the season, and I'm still confused as to whether she had been there the whole time or if she had come back to the dorm. But there's a girl living in the attic who is a horror manga author, and her shtick is that she loves to scare the others. Like, in order to get inspired to draw her manga, she spooks people and fucks around with them. So her introductory episode is basically her just fucking with Kaos-chan the whole time because Kaos is easily scared.
Yeah.
And again, it was easy to imagine that we were going to go the rest of the show with that gag. Like Uchi ni Maid, where it's like they introduced that new character and then it's just that joke. It's
going to be that way for
again.
The whole time. If you don't like it, that's too bad.
But instead what happens is that by the end of the episode, Kaos kind of realizes that this girl is actually a really cute girl. And so she becomes attracted to her and also, like, relates to her because, like, this girl doesn't really have any other friends and she has difficulty communicating, and Kaos is like, that's how I used to feel. So she dedicates herself to being friendly with her. And so from that point forward, even though that girl is still hitting her with the spooking her out of nowhere shtick, Kaos' reactions change, where she's spooked, but she's also, like, into it because she's into that girl. And she, like, wants to hang out with her in spite of how this attitude. And it kind of throws Spooky Girl for a loop where she's not expecting this totally unexpected relationship that I thought was really interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah, I really appreciated how they took it back a little bit. Like, she wasn't in every single episode, and they only included her when the bit would be funny. Like,
right.
They were searching for one of the girls' manuscripts, and, like, at the end, the resolution is that she had found it.
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you? Because, like, she
looks so different
back,
at school, yeah.
And it's just, like, she just pops up at really unexpected moments and kind of has, like, a good bit. But, like, if she was a character who was, like, a fifth girl in the group, it would have been really
she could have gotten old really quick. Like, I'm surprised they did as much with her as they did. But, yeah, if she had been around too much, it would have gotten old. But, like, I mean, the only character who I would say I'm, like, kind of disappointed with how little they did with is Purple-Haired Girl, because, like, I really like her in terms of, like, design. I like her personality, and I like the way that the early episodes give her some great development. Like, when she does her signing, and she, like, has to overcome her fear to, you know, to appear in public, and, like, to embrace the fact that she creates this smutty manga. And there's, like, this whole aspect of her character where she's just, like, naturally lewd. Like, just because she's hot and, like, when she gets tired, she's very breathy, and, like, I love that whole bit. But, she doesn't really do much else throughout the rest of the show.
They tried to, like, make an episode that the Christmas episode was about her not having a boyfriend, but...
That was kind of really at the start, because that episode goes in a lot of directions.
It didn't really do anything with that. Like, it starts out, like, oh, she's gonna have an issue because it's Christmas and she doesn't have a boyfriend, and then it just turns into, like...
it just becomes a New Year's episode after that. It was just like a general... It was like all the winter holidays were just like crammed into one episode for convenience. It would have
been nice to see her do a little bit more after her signing.
Yeah. And then we've got Blue-Haired Girl was... at first I wasn't that interested in her because she's just kind of a generic tomboy, but I really like the way that she plays off of other characters. I felt like her interactions added a lot for her, and then you eventually find out that she's secretly a, like, over-the-top Ojo-sama, which was funny but weird, because it was probably the hardest break from realism that the show had, to, like, have her live in, like, a literal castle somehow in Japan. But it was fun. It was a good time, and they didn't dwell on it for too long. It didn't come up again. It wasn't like, oh, she's an Ojo-sama, and that's gonna be, like, all the time a thing. It was just, like, this one little break of weirdness in the middle of the show. Yeah, again, like, it's just the way that this show plays around with all the tropes and, like, the expectations that you would have for, like, a four-girls show, but it doesn't rely on that. It doesn't just rest on the laurels of the genre. It doesn't just use the cliches. It does something different. It'll always spin it in a new way, or take it in an unexpected direction, or make you go, oh, wow, like, that actually was a really good episode. Like, so many episodes we ended being like, wow, that was a great episode. And again, the best one's probably the one with the older cast. So we've got the teacher, who we already explained. We've got the editor, who is working with Kaos, who's the one who got her this dorm
When they introduced those characters, I was very confused, like, who they were until the story kind of picked up later. I don't know if in the first episode...
I think that's because we didn't rewatch the first... Because in the first episode, reading the description, the editor is the one who got her that dorm. Because, like, the show takes place where it's like there's a special dorm run by the matron, as they call her, and she is literally running this dorm for manga artists who happen to be in high school, because these three older characters who I've just described were themselves manga artists in high school who never made it professionally, but, like, are still somewhat attached. So one became a teacher, one became a manga editor, the other one just runs a dorm for manga students. And so, like, you know, through those connections, the editor gets Kaos to go to that school and go into that dorm. But, like, there's an episode where the three of them hang out and they all get drunk, and it's...
Such a good episode.
It's great because the characters get sincerely drunk. And, again, this is another place where I think another show would have stopped a lot earlier. It would have been that they all got drunk at the bar and they just went home and passed out. Instead, they all go back to the dorm, and they're hanging out, like, all night, like, drunk at this dorm as the other girls, like, come and go, and, like, they keep having interactions, and they're getting all emotional and, like, over the top with each other.
They kind of push each other to do, like, stupid things.
Yeah, they make a bunch of really bad decisions that are hilarious.
The teacher gets really drunk, and she washes all the makeup off her face, and she, like, has a baby face, and then... Yeah. The matron's like, oh, I have some lounge clothes for you, and she, like, dresses her up in the school uniform.
Right.
And it's, like, really funny, because, like, the students, like,
they don't recognize her
in the uniform because they're coming to the dorm, and it's like, this is fucking hazing.
Yeah, they're all
so
mean
funny.
to each other, which is also what made it funny as well. So we got yellow-haired girl we haven't talked about yet, except for that she got fat in one episode. She's interesting because I wouldn't really pin her down to, like, any one character trait. She's bubbly and fun. They kind of portray her as, like, a very normal girl sometimes. Like, she's the only one who's, like, into girly hobbies, who, like, seems to have friends outside the group and do things other than manga, since she's not, like, you know, terribly successful yet. Though I think she does get a serialized series before the end. And, like, she's in love with the blue-haired girl, so they have an episode where they go on a date, and, like, she's, you know, big eater. I don't, like, whereas blue-haired girl I would just, like, pinpoint as the tomboy. Purple is the serious one. Kaos is kind of the dojiko, but she's a more well-rounded character.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
she gets a lot of focus because she's the main character. Yellow girl is just like, like, she's not really exactly who you think just by looking at her, you know? So that's interesting.
They have a lot of fun of her character, and it's disappointing that the two other girls, like, don't get that much emphasis or, like, that many of their quirks.
I mean, I would say that's the biggest weakness of the show in general. Like, I think that the jokes were consistently great. I laughed all the time throughout the show. I was always entertained. There wasn't a bad episode. If anything, I felt like it kept getting better. And, like, the more you knew about the characters, the more it could build on them to have, like, more complex scenarios and jokes. There were some really unique stuff, like, the whole episode about Kaos trying to get glasses is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
And, like, the reasoning for why she ends up doing it. Like, there's just lots of unique things, even, again, playing with, like, traditional tropes. I would say maybe, like, the weakest parts are, like, in, like, the Winter Festival episode where, like, you know, they just go to, like, the New Year's and they just do pretty much the traditional New Year's stuff because, like, you have to, you know? I wouldn't say that was terribly unique compared to other shows in the genre, but, like, for the most part, I felt like I was continually shocked that it didn't pick the low-hanging fruits that every other show would. It felt like I was seeing a legitimately new four-girls show, and God, I think it's been years since I felt that way watching a show like this. So I would give this, like, a strong 8 to a light 9, honestly. Like, at least a mid to strong 8. Like, my biggest problems with it would be that the artwork, while inventive in places and while there is a lot of good character animation, is not, like, a strength, like, it's not a major strength. Like, the backgrounds are good sometimes, but not always. The character art is always strong, and the character designs are good, but they're not the best. It's not, like, the show you would go to for visuals, and
no, I would say more, like, for inventive transitions and, like, for cute clothes versus, like, well-drawn.
The characters are more memorable than I expected. I would say Kaos is the only one who will, like, really stick with me as, like, a character I'll be thinking about, like, as what, like, you know, someone who I can see a picture of and I'd get excited, you know, in the same way that I do with, say, like, most of the main cast from Lucky Star. You know, like, if I see them, I'm like, or K-On!, where, like, all 5 of the main girls from K-On! Are, like, perfect characters. But at the same time, this show's only 12 episodes. If it had had the time to flesh out those characters, I might feel even more strongly about them. If maybe some of the other girls had gotten, you know, a second spotlight episode as opposed to just one, then maybe they could be even better. It's also not the most unique scenario, so, like, you're not necessarily going to go to this to see something that, like, you'll never see elsewhere. But would I rather rewatch this or one of those other shows? I would rather rewatch this than, like, you know, Stella no Maho or I feel like there was another show just like this that we dropped this year, like, after the first episode, you know, that had a similar premise but was just not that interesting. So, yeah, I would say I overall had a great time. It's not perfect, but it's damn good for what it is.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'm going to give it an 8. I really liked it. The outfits were on point. The characters were characters. They worked for what it was.
No, it literally just happened.
Word.
I checked it like a second before.
I don't know. I haven't really seen a lot of good 4-koma anime adaptations, so I was impressed by this. I would say the passage of time was really fucking weird in the show.
There were weird moments where, like, it would just montage out of nowhere.
Like, the one where the purple hair girl is doing a book signing, it's like, it's announced that she's gonna have one in, like, a week, I guess, and then they do, like, this weird montage that lasts for minutes on end before they get to...
The signing.
But
it's not, like, conveyed that that's what we're waiting for.
No,
it just seems to happen.
I don't feel like anything of importance happens in that transition. It's just like, this is what they do.
We have 0 minutes left in our camera.
Oh no, but it was good. Good job, Nexus.
Yeah. Alright, everybody. That's it.